Analyses Atheism.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Gilli Pong Analyses Atheism. I am Gilli Pong and I am here to take a look at the next video we're gonna investigate and analyze. We've went through, I think it was Roger Penrose and Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss in the last two videos. And I just wanted to address, I finally got more cacao. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Get some good quality energy. The thing with cacao is that it contains a lot of fat, and the thing that has happened over the last years is, or decades, is that we have taken the fat out of our diet, and that causes our brain to be a little bit like, it's like putting not putting diesel on a diesel engine. It might run, you know. You put a vegetable oil on a diesel engine, it might run, but it's not very good for the engine. So that's why I am constantly trying to drink this, because I'm trying to grasp these concepts upon concepts. And Michio Kaku is talking about something here and different things. But I think I'm gonna go for Mr. Tyson running towards the Armageddon space station, because he believes that there's an asteroid coming. So here he says, can the two coexist? He's asking a question, or answering a question. Can the two coexist? What two, you might ask? Well, religion versus science, as if there's a versus. So let's just dive into it, see what happens.
So normally I don't go here. Normally I don't go here. Normally, because I just like talking about astrophysics. But I, given this conference and given how many of you out there are rabid atheists, I got to give you a bone here. I got to toss you a bone, okay? So I'm going to toss you a few bones, okay?
Toss a bones to the atheists.
You're rabid, all right?
Okay.
So let's look at some data.
So the atheists are dogs in that analogy. Or you're a human who likes bones. Don't know what he's going for here. But let's continue.
Here, you probably know all these data. Actually, the data I'm about to show is for the United States.
Okay. Now we have a concrete data. How is he going to display the data? Let's look at it.
I don't know what it is. I'm sure the data exists, but when I compiled it...
Wait, one moment. I'm going to make sure that I'm on the right one. I'm looking here, right? And you don't see me. That's the weird part. So I have to switch over to the video capture device and edit it and switch over. There you are. This is a better one. Okay, this happened live. Awesome. Now I'm looking into the right camera. This desktop or laptop always goes to this default camera when I open up OBS Studio. Anyway, so slight Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I'm going to make yet a separate point. So it wouldn't have mattered what country was represented here. In America, 90% of the nation would claim to be religious. And you define this in a way that's unambiguous. You don't say, well, do you go to church every Sunday? You don't ask that question. Plenty of people go to church who are not religious.
It's a bad question. Bad question.
They go to get a date or so. They go for the cupcakes or something. They don't go to be spiritually enlightened.
What? They go for what? What?
Ask that question. Plenty of people go to church who are not religious. They go to get a date or so. They go for the cupcakes or something.
They go for the hedonistic way of living. go for a date, they go for a cupcake. You should ease up on going to church, Mr. Tyson, for the wrong reasons, it seems.
They don't go to be spiritually enlightened. So
Okay.
you ask a different question. You say, is there a God that listens to your prayers? If you answer yes to that, you're religious, by anybody's definition. Because
No, that's not correct. Religious and belief in God is not the same thing. Try not to put that same in the same. Like fundamentalism is not a very good thing. No matter how fundamentally aligned you are with Darwin or with Douglas Adams or with whomever you want to fundamentally believe, So religion and belief or faith, not the same thing. So if you pray to a God and you have a personal connection with a good fatherly figure within that you feel like is guiding you and helping you, then you have faith in God. You're not religious. So it's a straw man here.
answer yes to that, you're religious,
No.
by anybody's definition.
No. that's
Because
not
your
true.
understanding of a deity is that deity is monitoring your daily affairs.
Deity.
So that's
deity,
unambiguous.
Deity.
About this number's dropped in the last couple of years, but it's about 90%.
It's like nuclear or nuclear. Deity. Potato, tomato.
Turns out if you go to college and get an advanced degree, a master's or a doctorate, where these are degrees where you actually question.
You go into the brainwashing camp where you're brainwashed into belief of a certain reality. That's how I hear what he's saying. Because you can be extremely intelligent without, knowing all these concepts.
The state of existing knowledge. The undergraduate degree doesn't really do that. You're learning from textbooks that are written by somebody else. Your doctrines are already there. The higher degrees imply that you are questioning the very fabric of the knowledge you had previously learned. Among that community, it's 60%. It has dropped.
So his portrayal of the data is a heading and a subheading.
That's interesting. Let's keep going. How about scientists
Yeah?
of all stripes? So
all the
biologists, chemists,
STEM.
let's include engineers as well, people who have
Field.
formal scientific
STEM
training, mathematicians as well. Okay, what happens next? Drops to 40%.
Religious scientists. Scientists who still believe in the divine. Okay. It's interesting how he always uses religious, because religious rhymes with superstitious or religiosity. It wasn't that Bill Maher? That's a guy I have to check out. Bill Maher.
Now, if you look at this number, it looks like, wow, so scientists, the public is 90%, scientists are 40%. No, the drop is not that significant because every scientist has an advanced degree. So in fact, the drop is not from 90 to 40, the drop is from 60 to 40.
20%.
So becoming a scientist is not as big an effect on whether you're religious as you might otherwise think. Most of the drop comes because you're educated beyond the level of college.
So this is proof that the American schools don't have any divine teachings or the school of life. So you don't really learn about, if I do this, then this and this and this could happen. Which is kind of how I view these texts. It's like a barometer or a benchmark of how to act in the world.
So that's 40%. So now you go to elite scientists, members of the National Academy.
Elite scientists. How much belief in the divine is in that category? Let's find out.
Highly accomplished subset among scientists, the number drops to 7%.
7% of elite scientists are religious, according to this data. Okay. 7%. So everybody has been brainwashed into becoming an atheist or becoming a... I wonder if they have a scale for arrogance and pride also. If there's a factor in that in the data.
There was a headline in Nature, the British journal Nature, which said, after this study was released, 93% of elite scientists reject God. So that was...
Imagine that. No wonder these fields are not going anywhere except in some concepts and theories.
That was supposed to be a shocking headline. And I look at that and I said, that's not even interesting. That was the trend line anyway. What's more interesting, which was not the headline, is that 7% of elite scientists pray to a god. Isn't that a more interesting fact to you?
Like he's got these Matt Dillahunty vibes.
Isn't that kind of interesting?
Science!
The most accomplished scientists in the world, in that community, 7% of them still pray to a personal God. I think that is deserving of more study than the 93%.
Study? It's kind of a thing he has. So, school hasn't completely beaten God out of you until you have reached the elite class of scientists. Then he's still saying, like, we still have to beat it out of them. They are so dumb for believing in a deity, believing in God, because it's so against the praxis of having, what did Lawrence Krauss say in the last video? Nothing is sacred, and heresy is not heresy. You have to become a completely atheistic entity to become a good elite scientist.
And who don't. Because something's going on there. We don't know what.
God
And
knows.
I have confronted people on this. I would say to the most sort of vociferous in the atheist community, I would say you're beat.
Oh, vociferous. Let's figure it out. Vociferous. What did he say? Most vociferous. Most vociferous. Just gonna try to put CC maybe. Maybe that helps us. Vociferous. Okay. Vociferous. There we go. We can use the tools to help us. Vociferous. That was there. Vociferous. Definition and meaning dictionary here. Crying out noisily. Clamorous. Characterized by or uttered with noisy or vehement outcry. This is like the Jungian shadow, if that were a case of Tyson. The thing with this Jungian shadow is that you project the things that you don't want to see about yourself onto others, and that annoys you the most. Vociferous, incredibly smart. Okay, let's see how he uses it.
Confronted people on this, I would say, to the most sort of vociferous in the atheist community, I would say, you're beating the public over the head, telling them, why are you doing it? And I'm thinking, before you beat the public, why don't you beat them over the head, okay? No, I'm just saying, if you're going to rank, if you just...
Now it just became the very definition of the word vociferous. It's always good to pre-search. Google is always going to give you, suddenly you're going to get like a t-shirt on Instagram. Vociferous! And the meaning of it. And that's going to be a t-shirt you have to buy if you go for Google or something like that. But we're not, because we are using anonymized researches. Vociferous, Neil, vociferous, deGrasse Tyson.
Because understand that first, because if you can't convert that 7%, you've got no...
You see, fundamental atheist. He can't live in the vicinity of people who have faith. They don't believe in science. Science. I believe in science. I believe in science. Woo!
Hope in the general public. That's all I'm saying. This is among the ranks of the scientifically educated. Now, philosophers basically invented atheism. And if you do this, if you check the statistic for philosophers...
This is always the same. He always goes to this. This is like a tool in his tool belt. Philosophers lose faith in God. And that's just, I don't trust the data.
It's below 1%. There are no religious, the only religious philosophers there are, they're like theologian philosophers, all right? If you subtract the theologic philosophers, this number is essentially 0, all right? So they're basically birthed atheism.
I really trust this data. Heading and another, it doesn't even have a graph.
The philosophers. And there's this talk, I don't know here in Australia, does the Bible in the public school class or not? No, is it by law or is it just by tradition? Is it by law? Okay, so in America there's this understanding that the state and the church are separate. And by and large that's been honored for most of the history of the country, by and large. And what's interesting about America, a point that was a little bit alluded to earlier today, is that it was founded on the principle that the state has no religion. The state is indifferent to what religion you might have. So that means there's no authority over you that's going to tell you who and what to worship. And that's a state that we...
Baphomet. There's a statue of that somewhere in America, isn't it? Baphomet. You don't know who Baphomet is? Okay, let's check it out. Baphomet statue. Where was it? Yeah, this guy. Oh, it's such a very small one, but okay. The statue of Baphomet is a bronze sculpture commissioned by the Satanic Temple, depicting Baphomet, a winged, goat-headed, humanoid symbol of the occult. 2.6 meter tall. It was the intention to put it in the Oklahoma State Capitol. Yeah. Yeah. You can believe what you want in America. That's a good thing.
We all take for granted, but so many places in the world that is not true. Well, there's a case in New Jersey where a middle school kid was
This doesn't age very well. You know, the current status in America is not very... I feel for you guys, if you're watching, and girls. And that's another thing. Why does everyone in podcast always say, okay guys, hi guys, how are you guys? When that's a male term for dudes. It used to be like dudes and dudettes, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. But now it's just guys, hi guys, how are you guys? So you have to be careful. Don't lose your language and start just be lazy.
Lectured to by the history teacher in a public school, and the history teacher said, if you don't accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you are going to hell. And there's a little Muslim girl there, said you are already damned to hell. First point. Second.
This is an emotional appeal. Hypothetical, horrible story, creating the antagonist in the story that is the religious zealot, the fundamental believer in hell. Read a little bit more about hell before you think about that. Hell is not this low-resolution place where you go to when you die. You know, it's like the more you read about it, the more you understand that this is like the Dante's Inferno, the Faustian bargain, for instance. That's another thing. Faust. Who is Faust? But that wasn't an emotional appeal, creating an antagonist in a story to prove your point. Fallacy. Mephistopheles, I think it was. Mephistopheles, also known as Mephisto, is a demon featured in a German folklore. And when somebody says it's a Faustian bargain, it's like you get what you want from the entity, but in order to get what you want, you have to give him your soul. And this movie here from the 80s, Angel Heart, where Roberto De Niro plays Mephistopheles, this character has the name of Louis Cypher. Very ominous. But you can't kind of grasp it when you read it in a book, but it was kind of overused in the movie. With the nails, you know. And he really loved this. He really loved this. Here he's eating an egg. And he's saying this thing like, eggs are the symbol of the soul. And he eats it. Yeah, again, you know, he's just radiating the darkness here. So, yeah, be careful what you believe in. That's all I can say. Even if you believe that there's nothing, that's like an open door.
Had dinosaurs on his ark. Third point he made.
You see how low resolution and funny this is? It's like he thinks he's Bill Hicks, but he's not even funny. Aliens.
Is that Big Bang and evolution are just theories, and you can take them or leave them. So,
well, they are. It's the theory of evolution. It's the theory of gravity. You can't just remove that and suddenly say that is this hard reality. If you're a scientist, you have to understand the difference between a theory and a concrete, evidence-based thing. And I don't think he has that definition clearly in his mumbled up mind or brain.
I don't, like I said, I don't get into these. I just don't. We got people who do this. We've got the four horsemen. We got our boy here.
Okay. This is a reference to the four horsemen. Who are the four horsemen? Are the figures in the book of Revelation in the New Testament of the Bible a piece of apocalypse literature written by John of Patmos? They are not specifically identified there, but subsequent commentary often identifies them as personifications of death, famine, war, and conquest. The irony of that is, like, if you don't believe in this, then why not just call yourself the Four Horsemen, Harris, Dawkins, Dennett. Yeah, Dennett, that was the guy. Dawkins, Dennett, Harris, and Hitchens. Hitchens has passed away. He lost his battle with cancer. Dawkins is still around. I don't know about Dennett, but Harris is the one that we have spoken of a few times before. And they were like jokingly calling them the Four Horsemen. And this is in 2011 or something like that. Making funny stuff like this, you know. But anyway.
Who's coming up after. We got people who fight this stuff. I'm not one.
Yeah, you see, it's like, imagine like he's in hell and he's talking to all the demons, and this is his inspirational speech that they can win. The evil is winning.
This. We've got the Four Horsemen. We got our boy here who's coming up after. We got people who fight this stuff. I'm not one of those, really. I'm doing this because, like, I know you're all. This is the bone I'm throwing you, but I really.
Like, I don't know. I'm just here, just trying to help out. Don't idolize me, you know.
Really, I don't do this. So, but then I thought about it, and I said, you know, I have an op-ed. A letter to the editor on this that I can write. And I left out the part about Jesus. I left that out. Because if that's how he feels, he wants you to be Christian, that's okay, fine. I left that out. I went to the rest of what he said. And this was my letter, as it appeared in the New York Times. People cited violation of the First Amendment when a New Jersey, that's a separation of church and state, essentially. New Jersey school teacher.
Here's a letter I wrote. Look at it. Let's read it together. Let's read what I wrote together. Such arrogance.
Teacher asserted that evolution and the Big Bang are not scientific and that Noah's Ark carried dinosaurs. The case is not about the need to separate church and state. It's about the need to separate ignorant, scientifically illiterate people from the ranks of teachers. That's the problem. If he wants to believe Jesus is his savior, that's not synonymous with being scientifically illiterate, because 40% of American scientists pray to a personal God. What is identical with being scientifically illiterate?
I think 100% pray to a personal God, whether they think it's the one that is pretending to be God or not. Everybody has a moment of complete and utter devastation in their life where they feel like their conceptual tools are not able to perform the actions needed. They feel victimized, they feel sad, they don't understand their situation, and they go on their knees and they pray. They ask, they pray for an understanding, they pray for the ability to forgive. But others pray for money and pray for a bike, and I pray for this position in work, then I will get better in working here on earth.
Is that if
Then you're praying to another entity.
Noah was a human being, he did not have dinosaurs on his ark, because humans and dinosaurs did not coexist. All right?
It's like he's speaking to 5-year-olds. And this is the thing with Americans. It's also one of the things I've seen in religious. Now we're going to read the Bible. Hi, kids. We are going to look at the texts. Now, Jesus Christ He walked on water. Yay! Such nonsensical fundamentalist repeating the things that you read in the book without understanding it. Without grasping the underlying truth of the stories and these old ancient texts, wherever they come from on the planet, describing a deity, describing an understanding of how we are created in his image.
Right? Every one of those scientists knows that, even the 40% who pray to God. So this is how I've sort of split the kingdom there.
Nice presentation, dude.
Then you get the billboard wars. Okay, this was fun. Big Bang Theory. You got to be kidding. God. All right. So this goes on. This is what we...
Low resolution, low IQ, trying to cause division, cause anger. Both can exist at the same time. Big Bang Theory could be describing exactly the beginning of the happening that happened before this happening is happening. I don't know. This is the division. This is the creation of a divide between human beings. And this is something that has also been done on many different levels, whether it's men versus or women versus men, like feminism, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, certificate of vaccination ID thing, the ones who go for it, the ones who don't. It's just it's an agent of propaganda.
We put up with, all right? So then then there was like, let's come back. Praise Darwin, evolved beyond belief, freedom from religion found it. So the billboard.
Yeah, you see, let's idolize this Santa Claus, Darwin. Yeah,
are in progress here. There's some people who are like okay with God and okay with sort of how things evolve, so they ride the fence. So here's a bumper sticker: the Big Bang Theory, God spoke and bang, it happened, you know? So they're excited about both, God and the Big Bang. But then we had this idiot back in May, judgment.
This is the thing, like even if you speak the truth and even if you try to unite the two, you're still looked upon as an idiot in this guy's minds, because he is 100% that the theory of evolution in Big Bang is real. But he has no real evidence except the few little vague theories that are going on. There's no concrete understanding. He can't go to the beginning and understand how it is. We just have this microwave radiation that is blood. And then you have the angels and demons, and they are going into infinity, creating conformal mathematics. But I just started thinking about it when I was waking up this morning. Like Roger Penrose. He's 92 years old. He looks like he's 65 or something. What is he doing? Maybe drinking the blood.
Day. Did this Judgment Day stuff reach below the equator? Jeez, okay.
This is just fundamentalism. That's a different thing. You can be a fundamentalist because it's not about helping you as a person. It's just about reading the text the right way. Having the sanctimonious way of speaking when you go to church. Na 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 na. Like if you go into this studies and you read the church fathers and you see that there has been a documented history of trying to go against this, for instance, yin-yang, the Manichaeans. Matter is evil, God is good, and the unification of that is man. Kali in Hinduism is this nature element, the worst version of nature's element, the death. And she's feminine. And then there's the masculine Krishna. And Shiva is consciousness. But if you read it without just blindly believing in whatever you're reading, it elevates your understanding of who you are as a human being. Why you're here. What is going on, really. But if you look at a black hole in a telescope or through interferometry, you're not going to find the meaning of life through that.
Yeah, it was. Now the good thing, unlike other predictions, like Jesus will come one day, this had a date.
Was he grabbing his balls while he was walking there?
Yeah, it was.
Was he fixing his balls?
Now the good thing, unlike other predictions, like Jesus will come one day, this had a date. Okay, you could test it. This was like easy to test. You just sort of wait around for it. All right. So now it turns out that May 21st was only the day Jesus was supposed to show up. The actual end of the world is October 21st. So the end of the world is still to come this year. This is directly from the web.
Yeah, so this is like a 12-year-old presentation from this guy. But we can see that, of course, this is extremely dated. And if you're using arguments like this emotional appeal for this is almost appeal to emotion, straw manning, making everyone in the religious sector look stupid, have the data portrayed in this way, having jokes about beating the religion out of the elite scientists. Makes you wonder,
Website. So I had to tweet. So this was May 21st. So on May 21st, or May 20th, I tweeted this.
Here's my tweet.
Jesus
Look at my tweet. Here is what I said. Let's read it together. Look at how amazing I am.
Actually arrives May 21st. It'll be easy to convince skeptics. If he doesn't show up, do the faithful become atheists?
Whoa.
That was my question.
Subliminal messaging was that?
Do the faithful become atheists?
What is this? Was this captured on a film? Why is this in here? Creepy stuff.
That was my question. Now,
if he doesn't show up, do the faithful become atheist? Red thing.
Twitter stream, it's a live conversation with complete strangers. Everybody depositing their 140 characters worth of thought. So
back then, when it was 140 characters, he must have pondered a long time before uttering these 140 characters, using mathematical equations to put the icons in the perfect way, using his scientific intellect. It just needs to have a little lower thing there. It's like, this is how many likes I got.
So here this is. There was a huge reaction to that tweet.
Oh, really?
Now, you would expect that most of my followers, or at least a big fraction of
my followers,
them, would be sort of atheistic. So you'd expect people to say, this guy's an idiot, why are we even spending any time on them? Well, one such person did make such a reply, but not in the way you might think. No, anyone who's read the Bible knows this camping asshole was full of shit from the start. Okay. So what do you do with that? So this is somebody complaining about the prediction of Jesus coming because he says this other guy doesn't know jack about the Bible, but this guy does. And went on, there are other places where people quoted that one can't know when Jesus comes. So the fact that this guy's saying he knows means he doesn't read the Bible. So So this is what's out there. People who are ready to vociferously argue.
Vociferously argue using... You probably Googled that before going to this lecture. I'm going to use one very hard word that isn't common in the English language. And I'm going to stump these Australians with my intellect. Elite.
About who knows the Bible the least.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tyson. That was a very revealing lecture on your behalf, showing the insides of your soul. I don't think we got any further. I don't believe he has influenced me in any way except proving to me that how conceited and vociferous he is. What was that? Vociferous. Yeah. Definition. Let's just go and end it like this. This was a vociferous lecture. Definition: loud and forceful. No one was more vociferous in the condemning it than Neil deGrasse Tyson. Thank you so much. Vocabularypronunciation.com. You took the words right out of my mouth. But be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Oh, I'm getting so crappy at this. So,
Gilli Pong.
Analyses atheism.